Hi. Okay, so what is this? Like episode two? We're back.
Yeah, episode 2 seems like we committed to it.
Oh, I almost didn't. I wanted to take a longer nap.
So, we're back with another AIATA segment today on the morality meter. Would
Yep.
you like to start this time?
Oh my God, yes. Sure. So let me start. My first one is, am I the a-hole for accidentally making my family believe I was dead when it was just my birthday by Mobile OK for 661? So, context, this whole thing happened 2 years ago, but I was reminded of it recently and felt like telling the story. 2 years ago, I, female, was turning 17. My family loves to have large and usually themed birthday parties, so my mom had been asking me for a while what I wanted to do. After some thinking, I landed on the idea I loved. Essentially, there's this sketch comedy channel called Smosh. A lot of people have probably heard of it as it's one of the oldest and most successful channels on the platform, in my opinion. On this channel, they had a type of video they would do which is called a funeral roast. Basically, they would have somebody lay down in a coffin and in different people would go up and do a roast of that person. Like they were reading a speech at a funeral, nothing super mean or anything, typically just a funny jab followed by some sort of compliment. Always really funny and specific to the person who was quote unquote dead. I love watching those videos and they really wanted to host my own. I come from a large family who are very fun and like themed events. So this seemed like a great decision from my party at the time. When I told my mom, she also really liked the idea. So we sent out invitations. They were black with a cartoon graveyard on it, reading out "Come to Blank's funeral" on the front. They were obviously not real funeral invitations in caps. And not just because of the cartoon ghosts and tombstones, but also because of the details on the card. They had informations regarding the fact that it was my birthday party, where it was, my house, and also details regarding the fact that it was a roast. Yet, despite this, some of the family members managed to convince themselves that this was real, in caps. The day after my mom emailed out the invites, oh, it's emails, okay. One of my aunts called her crying because she thought I was dead. My mom was so confused and was trying to console her while assuring her I was very much alive. I ended up having to go on the phone and talk to her myself so she would believe it. Not just my aunt though, a couple other relatives had similar thoughts when seeing the invitation, having to check in with others in the family to see if I was actually dead. If I'm being honest, my mom and I thought it was really funny, considering how s- satirical the invitation was. But my aunt ended up making a stride comment, a family dinner a week later, saying how it was irresponsible of us to send that with no context or explanation. Hello. The explanation was on the invite in text, in capital text. Maybe if she had bothered to read it, she would have seen that in caps as well. The party ended up going ahead. It was super fun and everyone had a blast, including me, even though I was ripped to shreds by some of my cousins, lol. But my aunt still felt a bit cold to me throughout the day. I personally think she's just embarrassed by the whole ordeal, but maybe there's a chance I was an a hole and should have provided more context with the invite or not had a funeral theme at all. That's the end. What do you think?
I think like soft a-hole because um now that I think about it, like I guess like older people like they kind of like take things at a surface value without like really um looking into it much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my parents like get
Mm-hmm.
all these like WhatsApp videos circulating and they like believe it on surface value. I
Yeah.
think it's like definitely that sort of situation. Like, if I if I were to make an invite with no context, like except if you like open the card or look at the back, some people might actually think that I died.
If I think about it, especially if there's an email, right? People will look
Right.
at the big title
Yes.
before they open it. They will just assume they read the title and be like, "Oh my God." Especially like just to prove what you just said, like older generations, older people might just take things at a surface level. My mom always finds these videos and be like, "Oh my God, look at this. How is this possible?" And I'm like, "That's AI."
Yes, yes, that's what I mean. So initially, so for context for our viewers, we lost our recording of this story, the first time we did it. So I kind of had a, I guess, prior knowledge of this particular story. And when you initially told me, I thought it was like a physical invitation, right? So, and I asked you, was it one of those that fold open or one of those that you can see it at the back, like front and back? So now with more context that it's an email, I do think like, yes, like soft, you're the a-hole because like people just glance at emails, you know?
Yeah, I feel like especially for things like that, even I might misunderstand as someone who's younger, I could say. I agree, I agree. Maybe like soft a-hole because it's completely unintentional, like you said. Originally, we had thought like not an a-hole because if it's a physical card, you do not take things at a surface level, even with like cartoons, images, and things like that. But the only thing I can say is that perhaps the email should have been worded like special invitation, and when they open it is when they see like the card face saying like, "Oh, funeral, but it's a birthday," like that.
Yeah, we could, or I guess like, if you preface the email by saying it's actually a celebration of life and then proceed to say it's funeral themed, like I feel like people might get that more.
Yeah, I feel like although it's funny to say like come to funeral, it might be more appropriate for like pranks, but for serious things like a birthday celebration, suppose it's really not well thought out.
That being said, I haven't heard of Smosh in like ages.
I know. I actually used to watch them. I have barely any recollection other than their emo hair.
Yeah, this is like such a throwback. I remember asking you if they were the couple that came out. Was it Dan and Phil? But then you said you weren't sure, and then you said emo hair, and I was like, yeah, it might be them.
I still don't know. I never looked it up. I didn't bother.
Yeah, so I also think like the whole funeral theme is a bit like green. Do you hear about the TikTok stories recently about D4VD, the singer, and then how he has like funeral themed stuff at his concerts?
Oh, you mean that David?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, 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 I heard. And then like the whole issue with the crime and everything now.
Yeah,
You should do a podcast on that.
we should because like in hindsight now, like everyone thought the funeral thing was like super edgy, but like in hindsight now they're like, okay, something's psychologically wrong with him.
I still
Allegedly,
think it's kind of
allegedly.
edgy. I
Yes.
do it. I think like dark themes has always been a thing. Whether or not it's like a psychological issue is always based on perspective. Oh, this person is functioning normally in society. It's just edgy. Oh, this person is now a criminal. Suddenly it's not edgy anymore. Like it's just based on like
Yes, it's based on
how
how you
yeah.
are perceived as society at that very moment in time. Like it might
Yeah.
be a very original idea, so cool, and then like you do something wrong and everyone's like, the red flags were always present.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you don't know whether or not those themes were actually because of a psychological issue or if it's actually just like genuinely a really cool creative idea.
Yeah. All right. Should I proceed with the next story?
Yes.
Lovely. So, mine is Am I the a hole for waiting in line at the grocery store while my parents finish shopping? This is by David Red Fox. So, before I start with the story, there is an update that they put at the very top. So, to give you some sort of preface, he said, "Thank you all who took time to write a civil and constructive response." This is in all caps, the whole paragraph. Due to overwhelming amount of engagement and after more than 5 hours of continuous replying, I'm sad to announce I won't be interacting with the posts or replies anymore. I can't keep up with each comment as there are way too many now. Thank you again for your time and to those who upheld the values and rules of this subreddit. So that gives you kind of like a context to how scandalous this is.
Oh my God. Okay, okay, I'm ready. Wait.
Yeah. So he
Yeah,
said,
yeah, I'm ready.
I went to the grocery store today and the lines to pay were a bit crowded. My parents asked me to already wait in line while they finished grabbing the last couple of items. We usually do this if there's a lot of people. If it's my turn to pay and they aren't there yet, I just let the person behind me pass so I don't have to stop the flow for obvious reasons. Even though that wasn't the case today, this afternoon another customer was really angry because of this, claiming it was unfair and disrespectful to others that were waiting in line too. Since, he quotes, you can only wait in line once you finish shopping, not before that. I have no idea what's the logic behind his point of view, and he didn't even explain it to me because of how frustrated he was. Is this a cultural thing? Am I wrong here? As far as I know, as a customer, you should abide by the rules of the establishment, and the grocery store has no rules against doing this. I didn't prevent any other customers or the cashier from continuing their business, and I had to wait in line like everyone else. So, am I the a hole here? If so, please let me know your logic in detail. I'm curious to know if I'm missing anything. And he also like provided an update if you want that now or do you want that later?
I always say update first. Let me get the whole thing.
Okay, so he said, I need to clarify something. My apologies if I express something wrong. Uh, if I express myself wrong, English isn't my native language. When I mean couple of items, I'm talking about dog food only. The big bag that's heavy and a small bag with little treats of different flavors. Everything on the same aisle. We forgot to pick it up when we waited in line and they had to take the shopping cart because it was too heavy to carry all of it by hand from the aisle back to the cashier. We didn't think we had to go to the back of the line for forgetting one item that required the shopping cart to carry, and that's why I was left waiting there. Shout out to Battle Lisa and other Redditors that suggested I should add this info as context.
Okay, okay. It's just one item, right?
Yeah, he said couple of items, but then like in his update, he said it was the pet treats and dog food.
Which usually is like in the same
Yeah, in the same
area.
aisle. Yeah.
Like I remember hearing you say something along the lines of like cultural thing. I'm
Yes.
not sure if they're like what country they're in, what country they're from.
No, he didn't say. He did say English is not his first language.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna make any assumptions.
No, but I would say like it's quite similar to our culture, and I picked this story because I remember when my parents left me in the line while they
Hey,
go
it's a
and grab,
common
yeah, like
no,
while they
it's
go
a
and grab
common
some
trauma.
things, like and you know how when it's like nearing the cashier, you know it's like almost your turn to pay and you can't even
And you have
like
no
see
money.
them. Yeah, you can't see them. Yeah, nobody. I get the worst anxiety attacks.
No, I used to have that too, and then I would just like be like, I'll go grab it, and then and then it's the same anxiety. Am I gonna make it back on time? Have they paid? Am I gonna have to like stand in line and not be able to pay?
Right. So with our personal context and and their recollection in their story, would you say if they're the a-hole or no?
I generally, genuinely, whichever it is, I don't think they are the a-hole. I think like if like in our culture it's kind of normal, you see people do this all the time. Plus, he's not blocking the line, like, oh no, you can't proceed because I have to wait for an item. No, he's like, hey, they're not back yet. Like the person behind me go first. But I also understand the frustration of like other customers seeing you let one person pass while you're still there and they're just like waiting for you. Although, like, if you think about it logically, the time difference they would have experienced is probably no different from whether he had all his items or not. Maybe like a few seconds difference total. But it doesn't feel very nice if you're like further behind the line and you see people moving and that guy is just there and suddenly he's gonna go forward, you know?
Yeah, well, I have read the comments last night and let
Okay.
me see if I can change your mind. So majority of the
Okay.
people in the comments are very upset at this and they're calling OP the a-hole because
Okay.
they say most people who go shopping don't have someone to stand in line with them because they don't usually go out with like multiple people. It's usually one person. So it's very rude to do so. And when people pay, they choose the lines based on who is there and how much stuff they have. So if people queue up behind you because you don't have the cart next to you, they're gonna assume you're only buying one or two items or grabbing something from the counter. And then when your parents come with a full cart to join you, it's really shitty for like everyone who lined up behind you.
Mm.
Sort of
True,
like at
true.
a theme park, you kind of like line up and then like a bunch of friends come out in front of you. They're saying that it's just unexpected. And I actually saw a comment that does make sense. So if every family in the supermarket does this, you're always gonna have people lining up in the lines and then like you don't know how long you're waiting for like the carts to come by. So like it actually like does break the system of society because if
True.
everyone does this, it would be like super messy and like super delayed at the supermarket, right?
Okay, maybe if it's just like one little item, like a chocolate bar or whatever. That's just an example. I feel like it's more acceptable. If you say like that, true, also. But then again, it's kind of like perhaps I'm so used to it, still living here. I see it everywhere. Every time I go shopping, it happens all the time. So I'm so used to it. I'm kind of like, what's the word? Like,
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're like so desensitized to it. But this
yeah.
comment actually makes sense. They said you're the a hole, but not because you're breaking the rules of the establishment, but because it's a courtesy rule. They said this is one of those little things from your perspective that doesn't seem like a big deal because no one else is doing it at the same time. This only works because most people don't do this. Everyone else makes an allowance and it's inconvenience for your benefit. Imagine 100 couples are shopping and 50 of them line up while the other 50 just keep shopping for just one or two more things. It would be chaos. So many things fall into this category, and people who do it have no respect for others and often are the people unwilling to let others do what they do to get away with it. Not putting shopping carts away, not using car turn signals, merging too slowly, exiting the highway at the last possible second, etc., etc. So, again, yes, you're the a hole. Don't continue to do this. If you're in line and you forgot something, you get out of the line.
Mm.
Yeah, so people
Okay, you
have
know what? That
really
kind of they're
strong.
not wrong. They're really not wrong. I don't think he is like that big of an a-hole. I think it's like a little a-hole because it's like unintentional, maybe.
Yeah, I guess like the intention of it, like you're thinking like on a small scale is like it's not that serious, but that if everyone does it, like it is going to be like a serious problem.
Yeah, I see how it can be that way.
Yeah, so it's a
Now I
pretty
have a different
unanimous,
perspective.
yeah, it's a pretty unanimous like um call from the comments that he is the a-hole.
But this think of this though. Like it's such a common experience being a kid and parents leaving you at the line to grab things and it's so like everyone in the world
No,
experiences
yeah,
this.
absolutely. There's so many memes about it. You know what? We'll actually edit the memes into the videos.
Should we?
Yeah, we will. I mean, there is so many memes about it. It's definitely a cultural phenomenon. If you grow up as an Asian kid, your parents will leave you in the line and then tell you they'll come back. and then you probably
No,
don't have
I
a
swear,
phone.
there's a few others that's not Asian mixed in there. Come on.
Yeah, like it's a cultural phenomenon. Like everybody faces it. Like your parents will just leave you there and then say they'll be back.
Yeah. Okay,
But
so maybe little a-hole. Very little a-hole.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe. I wanted to look on his profile to like see what his
Mm-hmm.
comments are because there's lots of comments that are like, you're definitely the a-hole. Stop trying to defend yourself in the comments, right? But I think this guy like privated his profile because I couldn't see any of his posts or comments history. So I really
Oh,
like couldn't get more context for you. But yes, I definitely think that like a lot of people are like really upset. They were like DMing him and like sending him rude messages. Like don't do that, guys. Like don't let a story, let you harass people.
yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell me your next story?
Yep. My next and last story, everyone, is am I the a-hole for telling my best friend I can't go to her wedding by long underscore reaction 8744. So, my friend and I are both 24 female. We call her Abby. For context, she has been dating her fiance for a couple of years. They were off and on for a few months before a party where he got angry with her for not giving him enough attention. Bracket, Abby was spending time with family she hadn't seen in a long time. Close bracket. And he proceeded to call her entire family racial slurs before getting in his car drunk to drive away. They broke up, or so I thought. Since this, he has convinced her to get back together with him, buy him a phone, a car, an apartment. He was homeless before this, and move halfway across the country with him. All of our friends and family dislike this, and he has been slowly isolating her from all of us. After 1 year of dating, he hastily planned an engagement, bought a ring the week before, and didn't even get a photo of the engagement. Despite me telling him multiple times that this is the one thing in caps she asked for. Abby calls me to tell me she's getting married in 2 months. I raised my concerns for planning a wedding with all of her wishes and getting married to this guy insanely fast. I asked her why she couldn't plan it for a year out, and she told me they wanted to be married on their anniversary. I asked why they couldn't plan it for the anniversary a year from now and what the rush was. Then I also mentioned that I already had plans for the date that she mentioned. Abby was furious. She asked why I couldn't change my plans to accommodate her wedding. I mentioned again that it seemed very rushed and that I thought it was a good idea to take the time to plan. She told a lot of her new friends who all said that I wasn't a real best friend, quote unquote, for not dropping everything to come to her wedding. We haven't talked in 2 months. I'm considering reaching out to ask if they've even gone through with the wedding. I'm still in touch with all of our friends and family, so I have a feeling they haven't tied the knot yet, or I should have already known. Uh, TLDR, my best friend is trying to plan a wedding super fast to a guy that's using her for money. Am I the a-hole for this? Question mark, question mark. What do you think?
Mm, Look, this person who's making this post on surface doesn't sound like the a-hole. But if you're not that close of a friend anymore and she didn't actually say why she asked they were getting married that quickly. Like it could be many like reasons that you don't know about, right? Like
Yeah.
it could be like legal reasons that you want to get married. And plus, like reading between the lines, she said that the guy called her family a racial slur and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
we can assume that, they're of certain culture, maybe. And I know different culture have different beliefs. Like, like as Chinese, we have like auspicious years to get married and auspicious windows to get married.
And a lot of like our dates are very much pressured by family as well sometimes.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, don't get married in this like this date or this year or this month. Like you don't know what sort of like context is given of why they want a rush wedding. Like if anything, like Carl and I got married pretty quick,
Yep,
but we didn't like it wasn't like for any reason. We just like wanted to do it. If you want to marry a person, why do you need to wait it's like the same reason she's asking like, "Oh, why do you want to get married so quickly right now?" The same could be asked like, "Why do you need to wait?"
true. I feel like if it's kind of like a personal thing, like it's her friend's personal life who she choose to marry when, it's really up to her friend. But at the same
Right.
time, when she said that like she had plans and she was told that like, oh, I'm like, let's say I call you, for example, I call you, be like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm getting married in 2 months, this date, and you're like, I already have prior plans to that date. And if I ask you, well, why can't you cancel your plans for me and my wedding because it's like once in a lifetime, then it is a little bit unfair as well of
Yeah,
an
but
ask.
can I just say she didn't actually say what her plans are. In fact,
Oh, okay.
the only thing she
Hold
said
on.
was that the thing she said was that when Abby told her that she was getting married, she basically raised her concerns of why she's planning the wedding so soon. So it
I
seems like
have it.
she created plans to I guess like spite her friend.
So I went through some of her replies and I
Mhm.
found this one.
Okay.
So someone said the same thing as you. Like someone commented like, "Oh, you're not too busy to go. You're just doing it out of spite because you don't like her fiance."
Yes.
And she replied, "I was traveling with my boyfriend. Our hotels and flights were non-refundable and Abby was aware of this. I've called her every weekend for 2 months, but she never answers the phone. I'm worried that he's isolating her and she has nobody to turn to if she ever does decide she doesn't want to marry him."
Yeah. So I think there's definitely like two situations here, right? Like one, the first situation is she doesn't like this guy. The
Yeah,
second situation is that in fact of telling like instead of telling her friend that the real reason is that she couldn't make it because she has plans, she raised her concerns of why her friend is marrying this guy. The
true.
timing is just not good. Like it should be three different conversations or two
I
different
feel like
conversations.
there's already a preconceived like image she has of like her friend and her friend's boyfriend or fiance at that point, and she's really against it. I feel like she's also like not willing to just accept the fact that her friend and that fiance is gonna get married. It kind of reminds me of your situation. I know initially you and Carl had some rough patches because of the cultural differences and you
Mhm.
guys communicated about it obviously. The thing is because I'm just a friend who has like whatever context I got when we chatted, there are certain contexts I didn't get. Like your communications in between when you talk to him personally obviously. So when I first found out you two got married, I was like, wait, I thought like she's having like some issues with him. But at the end of the day, for me, because you're my bestie, I'm like, as long as he treats you well, I'm okay. I'm happy for
Yeah.
you, you know?
Yeah, like obviously, you don't want to support someone getting married to like quote unquote the wrong person or someone that treats them unwell. But what I think is that, like as a person who's like growing, I always like do the mistake of like talking about my issues to my parents or like my friends. But of course, like it's easier for me to forgive the person in question being my partner than it is for my friends or my family to forgive. So like
Yeah.
I learned my lesson now to like, only say what is worth saying, not like all the petty shit. But if this friend is only hearing all the petty shit, like girl talk, and then she doesn't know about like I guess all the good things like
Yeah.
under the surface, like she might think that the relationship is worse than it is. And at the end of it, it doesn't sound like they were very close anymore. So she doesn't even know if they reconciled or anything like that.
Yeah, and she doesn't know how he treats her now. She's just like it feels like it feels like an assumption because she said like, "Oh, he's isolating her, he's isolating her." That just tells me that she's not really like in like too much contact with her friend.
Yeah,
So it feels like everything's based on her own like preconceived ideas and assumptions.
yeah, because the other thing you mentioned was like you said that he got upset at her at a party because she wasn't giving him enough attention, right? And she was with family and stuff like that. But I've been in like you said, there's like cultural differences that, when Kyle and I hang out with my friends or family, they might be, like speaking Chinese to me or something, and he might be left out and he might think that they don't like him and stuff like that. And, that's like now my part is to comfort him, right, and be like, no, no, it's not like that. But if I were to continue to neglect him for like the entire day, I think like there would be some sort of frustration, no?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That's completely understandable.
Yeah, so we need
It's
context to
true.
that. It's like she gives like these like little tidbits that like could make a case for her. Like, but the only thing that I really like saw that was like, okay, it's like it's bad black and white. It's just the fact that he called her family slurs when he was drunk to drive away. But everything else is sort of like, like we need context.
Yeah. I think maybe from what we have gathered, she could be an a-hole because obviously she does have a very like strong view of like the fiance and she's really like hard-headed with like her thoughts. At the same time, I feel like as a friend who's going to get married, if I knew that you had plans and I still have to have my wedding then, I wouldn't ask you to drop your plans to come for my wedding. Although it might just be like a cultural thing. So for us Chinese, sometimes for people who can't make it to the wedding, we have a separate like dinner plan with them to like have them meet our, our husband or whatever it is, husbands or wives. We just have like a separate appointment with them.
Yeah, plus like her whole argument for the post is that her best friend's planning a wedding that's like super fast because a guy is using her money because she bought him a phone, a car, and an apartment. But if you were going to settle down with someone in life, wouldn't you, I guess, share like you kind of share the same vision,
Share
right?
the car and the apartment.
Like not to say like yes, I'm gonna let you freeload off me, but more of a sense where you're like it's a partnership. Like we both need somewhere to stay. Like I'm not gonna get a house for myself and then tell my partner to be homeless. Then why the hell would I go
Yeah.
and pick him as my partner?
I mean, if they're living together, right? My assumption is that that's her apartment as well. And maybe the car is a shared vehicle. And the
Yes.
phone, who says that girls can't gift men a phone? Like, oh, people
Yes.
have the preconceived notion that, like, oh, men are the one that gives girls like these, like, phone, jewelry, electronics. Like, girls can do the same. Have you not seen those, like, girlfriends who give their boyfriends like a PS5 and like they're so happy and it's so
Girl, why are
cute?
you talking about me? Nah,
Yeah, that's
nah,
literally
joking,
you.
joking.
It's
But
literally you though.
But
You're that type.
let's be real here. Her whole thing against him is that he has no money, right? But then she's not happy for the girlfriend to support him with the means to get a job. You need a phone to work, you need a car to get to work, you need a place to stay so you can sleep well before you go to work. She
But
even said he was
how does she know
homeless.
that he's still unemployed now?
Yeah, exactly. And she's her whole thing was like he was homeless before this, but it's like are people not allowed to be homeless? Like, sorry, if I'm 18 and my parents don't care about me and they kick me out, like, I would be homeless too, but does that mean I don't deserve a good life?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like she didn't bother to get more context and understand them as well.
Yeah. And then she's quick
There's
to
one
make
more
this
thing.
post.
Yeah, there's one more thing because she kept mentioning, I've noticed this, okay? She kept mentioning how like, oh, they've talked about it for years, how like, oh, the friend has all of these things that she wants and like her dream wedding, her dream engagement photos and things like that. Oh, come on. First of all, you can always have a photo shoot after, right?
Mm,
I'm sure
yeah.
we've always spoken about how like, oh, we have a dream wedding like this, like that. That doesn't mean that we will always like go through with it because that's just life. Things change and you got married. I'm still here finding my way, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up actually about the engagement thing. So I do feel like in her friend's defense, like um that she said she really wanted the engagement photos, but then like the partner didn't do it. But it's like, if it was something that really means something to her and it has to be done, it's a deal breaker. Like, I'm sure she would like say no during the engagement and be like, nah, this is not the way I want to do it. Like, try again. But she didn't do
Yeah.
that. She said yes and they got engaged. So why are you all up in arms for her? But in saying that, I sound like I'm very against this person who's trying to be a good friend. Like, obviously she's trying to be a very good friend, but I'm just thinking like people are so quick to throw like the label of like abusive relationship onto things that they don't really understand.
Whatever is it, I feel like things like this, right? I always have this thought. I have a dream. Yeah, I want it to be A, B, and C. But if I don't have the means for A, B, and C, but I also know that like whoever I choose, for example, is someone who can have the means for that with me and have a good life. I wouldn't mind making sacrifices for these little wants and not needs, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, another thing is that whatever it is, who her friend marries, if her friend doesn't want to listen to her and if she's genuinely coming with like advice, like, oh, I really don't think he's right for you based on all these existing current things I know of him, the latest updates, like, okay, communicate that to her. It is what it is. But if she still refuses to take your advice and she decides to go through with it, it's her life, you know, it's her choice.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
just just be there as a friend and be like, okay, fine, it's your choice. I support you as your friend. Like you can make your own decision, but if you ever need me, you need a shoulder to lean on, I'll always be here for you, you know.
Yeah,
Something like that.
exactly that. Because like, look, if you feel like she's trapped in a situation, like I'm not saying this is the case, but if you feel like, oh, if this guy is like genuinely abusive and stuff, it's gonna be very hard to get her away from him because like you said, they moved to a different state. They moved away together. He's isolating her from her friends. So like, why are you putting her in a spot where you're like, pick me or him, but you're obviously not gonna let your friend come and live with you and stuff like that? So what you should do is just like to be, I guess, available for her when she needs help, like not
Just
just,
tell her like you're
yeah.
always an option to like come and find refuge if you need or
Yes,
anything.
not just be like, oh, this guy is shit. Why are you getting married so soon? He's not treating you well. You have to pay for his stuff. Like, that's not gonna fix her problems, bro. Like,
So it's like, yeah, maybe she's trying to be a good friend in her own way. It might just be a cultural thing as well, like how we view things, how our opinions are. But
yeah.
yeah, I feel like she's trying her best, but at the same time, she does have a very strong opinion of the guy, and she's not giving him like benefit of the doubt or giving him a chance to redeem himself because it doesn't feel like she's in contact with him, you know,
Yeah, yeah, and the
in the
arguments she
present.
made against him were quite weak, except for like one or two scenarios where she listed, about the whole driving drunk, slurs at the family. Like, that is non negotiable. But other than that, what she has against him is just his background and the fact that he has no money.
Yeah, it's not like she's getting to know him now. It's really just like, well, that's what he used to be like. So there's no way he
Yes,
can be a better person now, you
yes,
know?
yes. That's like,
That's how I feel.
so I think they're like a soft a-hole.
Yeah. The friend too, though. I don't like the idea of, oh, you should drop everything to come to my wedding. I'm sorry, but I just don't like that. I just don't think that's reasonable for anyone, Like, if the dates just happen to not match, just hang out another time, just let it be. Not everyone has to be there. It is what it is.
Yeah, but as someone who could be in that friend's shoe, like not in the relationship sense, but if I were to put myself in the friend's shoe, how I see it is like, let's say like you're OP, right? I'm gonna see it as like you coming to me and saying, "Oh, why is your wedding so soon to the guy?" And then like, instead of saying like, "Oh, I can't attend because I have a trip that I bought 6 months ago," you're like, "Why are you getting married to the guy?" And then you're saying like, "Oh, but I can't attend anyway." So it
Oh, that
just,
sounds like an excuse.
yes, it makes me sound like, okay, you didn't want to come anyways, and you're like, I guess like trying to make a stance against who I'm marrying.
Yeah, it sounds like an
Right.
excuse.
So it's like, I'm not gonna believe it. I'm gonna think you made something up just so um
So communication could be better
yeah.
overall.
Like it
If your intentions are good, there's better ways to go about it.
yeah, like I said, two different scenarios, two different conversations to have. Like,
Yeah, totally. So, soft a-hole.
yes. All right, our last and final story. This one's from a throwaway account. My parents are forcing me to pay for my brother's grad school using money they never told me about. Am I the a hole? So, I, 30 female, have been financially independent since graduating college. I worked practically full time while studying, recently paid off my student loans on my own, and started saving to buy a home. I did apply to grad school because I couldn't afford it, and my parents made it pretty clear growing up that we needed to stand on our own after high school. My brother, 22 mil, is honestly a genius. He worked really hard in school, got a full academic right to a great state school, and graduated with honors. I'm so, so proud of him. The problem now is he recently got into an extremely prestigious grad program that will open a lot of doors for him. He was hoping for scholarships or a paid internship to cover most of it, but it's not enough. Now he's facing tuition and housing costs in one of the most expensive cities in the country. My parents asked if I could help him out and suggested I contribute around 15,000 to get him through the first year. They would match it and he'd take loans for the rest. I said no. I've been working for over a decade on my own goals and I'm just now starting to save for a house. I don't feel comfortable putting all of that on hold, especially when I had to turn down opportunities because there was no help available to me. During the conversation, my mom got frustrated and said they'd be using my other fund to help him instead. I asked what she meant, and she said they had set aside about $25,000 for me back when I was in college, meant to be used for a future wedding. I was completely blindsided. I had no idea this fund existed. I asked why I wasn't told about it when I was considering grad school, and now while I'm saving for a home, she said it was always intended for a wedding, not school or property, and since I haven't needed it, I'm not engaged or in a relationship, they decided to give it to my brother because he has a more immediate need. I'm not going to lie, I was pissed. I never got a chance to make a case of how I could use that money, but now it's just being handed over to someone else. I told them I felt hurt and left out. My mom said I was being unfair and that money was never promised. And even if I didn't want it for a wedding, then it made sense to use it for something meaningful. My brother told me he didn't know about the wedding fund either, but he understands why I would be upset, but said he didn't ask for it, he just wants to go to school and thought we were all trying to support each other. I know my brother worked hard and isn't trying to take anything from me, but I can't help feeling like my parents are punishing me for being practical. Am I the a hole?
Hmm. No, I'm going to give you a straight answer.
Mm hmm.
No. At the same time, we gotta give context. This sounds very much like a traditional, like Chinese family or an Asian family that's like
Yeah.
similar. Like it sounds very much close to home. Not to say like it happens to me, but it's just that. of course, we're very well aware, being Chinese ourselves, we're very well aware of what the expectations in like more traditional families in the past are
Yes.
like. And some modern families still follow those traditions passed down to them from their ancestors, their grandparents, and they just haven't like grown past that yet, you know?
Yeah.
So I think with some context need to be given. Yes, it feels very sexist first at first glance, and it is. I'm not gonna say it's not. And some people might not understand why. Why would they think like, oh, everything for the brothers okay, everything for the sisters not okay? So in a lot of Asian families, they believe that in marriage, the female, the daughters, are going to marry into someone else's family and become someone else's problem. Some who is not handing down like the family lineage or whatever you call it. But meanwhile, the sons are going to be bringing their surnames down a generation, handing down the family lineage, are going to bring someone into the family. So they will always put more emphasis on like the male, the yeah, the sons, the male child, which is not fair. Of course, I admit that it's really no good, but that's just how the concept and the mindset works for these like more traditional family. In saying
Mm.
that, OP is not the a-hole, and it's weird because they're saying like, oh, we're gonna use this money, which is 25K for your brother to go to school because you don't want to give us 15K. But if they think that 25K is okay, 15K maybe for how many years though? Like if
Yeah,
it's 3 years,
exactly.
it's way more.
Yeah, because she said it was 15K for the first year and the parents would match it and he'd still have to take out a loan. So let's say it's 30 grand covered and he's still taking out a loan. And year two, you repeat the same thing. Like, she'd be out of
Next
pocket
year?
30K. Yeah, because, like, 2 years for a master's. So, for more context, she did comment that their parents started putting money away every month into separate saving accounts for each of them when they were born. For her, they stopped contributing at $25,000 when she was in college and just let it grow with interest. So it is a bit higher now. Her brother's account is younger and hasn't reached the same amount. They're not actively contributing to it anymore, and the only money going in right now is the rent that he's been paying them since he graduated. So he agreed to let the money grow for now so he can use it for a down payment or to pay off student loans later. So, how come he has knowledge of this money but not her?
Yeah, it's so weird because like, oh, he's aware he's been putting in money too, but she's not aware. She's not allowed to like grow her funds. She's not allowed to be aware of it. Who knows like what they claim to be her wedding funds might just be used for their own retirement funds.
Yeah,
They're just
so
like using they're just using the fund and as an excuse to just like, like in to spite her because like, oh, you're not giving me money. Well, we have this amount of money and we're claiming it to be a wedding fund, but now it's like we're gonna use it for your brother,
yeah,
you
so
know?
we don't know what that was about, but what I do know is the brother wanted to do his MBA, so Masters in Business Admin. Um, so he's currently only working as like, I think it's like some sort of role in his current college, so it's not like any big role. So I don't know why
Yeah.
he's so keen to, quickly upskill like that. But if you don't really have the money for it,
You
it's
don't really
it's
need them first.
yeah, it's a difficult situation, isn't it? Like, I know a lot of people value education, but I think experience is quite important as well. Like, you might come out with a PhD, but it might be hard to find a job.
Yeah, okay. I really agree with that. Like, this is a different perspective I have, where, first of all, it's a business admin master's. Okay, it's a master's in business admin. I don't really think it's like something that will help you open many more doors, you know? Like if it's like, oh, chemical engineering, a master's, maybe they might be like, okay, that's very interesting, but it's just business admin. That's the first thing. Secondly, you should know this. Like a lot of Asian families think that like the higher your education, the better you're going to be in the future. I just think that like their kids spend so much time doing theories, essays, reports that they actually don't know how different it is in the corporate world sometimes, like then they find it like a big struggle to adapt to working, like actually working outside of studies. And at that point, they'd be so old because obviously you have to like go well into your adulthood to get like a master's and PhD. They'd be so old that they might not be able to adapt as easily as they would have if they had just like come out and gained some experience at a younger age, I feel.
Yeah, like textbook smarts are not street smarts. But also like in saying that, I do think like I they call it business of masters of business admin, but I think that's just like the broader general sense because I did a bachelor of business. My area is logistics and supply chain management, but I feel like if I were to upskill, and I do intend to, it will also be into masters of business admin. I think that's just the broad general sense. Like it sounds like it's just administrative stuff, but it could also be like managerial, financial and stuff. It's
Yeah, I suppose so.
yeah,
Depends on
you
your
you
major.
pick your major, that's right. So I think like we said, he should get some work experience first, save up some money and then go. It also sounds like they're in America because she mentioned Ivy League.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
they're like either like they could be American born, they could not be, but whatever it is, they sound like a typical Asian family, like a
Yeah,
typical
so
traditional Asian family.
there is an update 8 months ago, so it seems like they resolved this in the family. She said, luckily, both funds are in my dad's name. So this whole conversation happened with mom, right? So all the money is in dad's name, and he agreed that it's not fair to spend the one earmarked for me on my brother. Since some people are getting hung up over the wedding fund money, and I couldn't include it due to the character limit, after our talk, my parents agreed to add my name to the savings account so that I can access the money directly. They asked that I withdraw it in chunks over time for tax reasons, but it is mine now. My dad still hopes that I'll use it for a wedding someday instead of a house, but ultimately he said the decision is up to me. As for my brother, they said he'll get access to his account in the same way when he turns 30, just to keep things fair.
Okay, that's great. So the father is actually really reasonable. I'm really happy to hear that because I was about to mention as well, like, why is it that she can only use the fund for a wedding, but her brother can use funds for like studies? And what do they mean by like, that's like something that's more, important or something meaningful, I think
Yeah,
they
and
said.
she had to take out student loans for her undergrad,
Yeah,
whereas
and
her
she said she
brother
was
didn't.
considering grad.
Yeah, so what I think is like, I think she's quite street smart as well. Like, obviously, I would rather put $25,000 into a down payment rather than a wedding.
Yeah, I have like my views on weddings. I feel like weddings don't have to be grand and luxurious and with 5,000 people in attendance.
No, but it would be nice. It would be nice to have a nice wedding because you only have
If you,
one in your
yeah.
life.
True, it really depends on personal preferences as well. But at the same time, like for me, I feel like I'll be happy with like something small with just me and my family because what's important to me is not to have something grand. In fact, I feel uncomfortable in something so grand. But yeah, if I have the means for it, I will still have something slightly better, of course.
Yeah, no, girl, don't look at my Pinterest boards. You'll see the weddings I planned on there.
I remember you talking to me about it. You wanted like a castle on the hill or
No,
something.
no, I want the chalet down by the coast. I was like, looked at the price. It was like 30 grand for like 2 days. I was like, huh, interesting, interesting. At least my guests will have accommodation.
You're like, I'm gonna put that on my maybe list.
No, no, no. But thank God my husband is practical. He's like, no
He talked you out
lavish,
of
no
it.
lavish weddings till we have a house. No babies till we have a house. And I think that's right. I need
That's
someone to
very good.
ground me.
I agree. I agree. I think a lot of people have this idea that you have to have a wedding if you're getting married. Like guys, you can get married by just signing papers.
Yeah, we just signed
You
papers. We
can,
went to the courthouse with my in-laws and we just signed papers.
yeah, just sign the papers, tell people you're married, and just you can plan your weddings later. A lot of people always stress about getting married because they think like in order to get married, you have to plan a wedding. If you can't afford it now, all you have to do is if you want to get married, yes, go ahead, get married and plan the wedding after.
And you know what
That's
else?
yeah.
It's like OP said that like the year of schooling for him, like just 1 year out of two, would have been $100,000 between tuition and housing.
If they're struggling to get year one's funds, where are they gonna get year two?
Yes. So even with his like, I guess he's a teacher's assistant stipend, like, and his own savings plus scholarships, it's only covering like more than a little half. So let's say they do chip in the 30,000 between mom and the sister. What about next year's 100,000?
Yeah, true. I'm sure the sister has probably thought of that, but at that point they were probably so harp up about like the 25,000 account. So it is
Yeah.
for her. It seems it is for her, and she's gotten access to
Oh
it
yeah,
now.
she's got access to it
Honestly,
now, but it was quite,
mhm,
I guess it was quite malicious for the mom to dangle it in front of her like that.
true. It just feels like it's a common thing in a lot of like traditional Asian household. Yeah, especially being an Asian, sometimes feeling having your parents dangle something in as like a threat or like this is kind of normal. Not to say it's
Yeah.
good. It's not good. It's unhealthy, but we've probably all experienced one or two of that before.
Mm. But her attitude was a bit entitled, wasn't it? Like, just a tiny bit.
I feel like I understand her frustration because it feels like not only did I not know about this, you're now like using it to threaten me to pay more than what is actually in there, stuff like that. But still, it's kind of like I don't like the fact that a lot of people think like, oh, just because my parents says they saved that for me, it's mine now. It should be mine
Yes,
now,
exactly,
like
exactly. Because like, there's always like different causes that are valuable in time. Like her brother's education. You know, if she said she wanted that money for like, something like buying a car or like, getting married, I would say like she's not entitled to that money. Like her parents can change their mind, but she is putting it into a house, which I think is a pretty stable foundation to
it's
build
a
your
good
life on.
investment.
Yeah, it's something to build your life on. So
Yeah.
in that regards, I would say she's not the a hole. Um, I will also say her parents are slightly the
Her
a
dad's not an a-hole.
hole. Yeah,
Oh,
her
I
dad's
don't
not an
think.
a hole, but the way that her mom presented it was an a hole. Like if she had the knowledge of the sum of money when she graduated undergrad, she might have done a little bit different in her life.
Yeah,
But she was
I
robbed of
agree. I
that
agree.
opportunity, I guess.
True. It was like it could have been like an actual opportunity for her to further her education if she had really wanted to.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it wasn't even like put on the table as an option
Right.
for her at that time.
And it was only presented for the brother. Like he apparently knows about his funds. He has the option to continue his studies. She didn't really
Yeah, I
get the
agree.
same opportunity, I guess.
I agree. I agree. Okay, so not the a-hole.
Not the
Mom,
a-hole.
maybe a-hole. I'm sure she's not too bad of a mom. I'm sure she still like, raise her kids and stuff. It's just that how she presented it and everything is really bad. So a-hole.
Yeah, it comes across as like slight favoritism.
Yeah, it's favoritism. But the brother though, I something about you saying what understands why she's upset, but then didn't ask for it, but just want to go to school. It also feels a little bit entitled. It sounds a bit entitled to me, kind of like, well, I understand you're upset. I'm trying to console you, but I just want to go to school, which kind of like not saying like I don't want to take your money. It's kind of like I will take your money if it's presented to me.
Yes.
I don't like that.
Yeah, also Reddit's favorite thing is saying like go no contact with your family. It's like,
No, I
bro,
don't like that.
some of us don't have that option. Like, oh, we do have the option, but like some of us have a thing called filial piety, which you sort of help your family, you sort of take care of your elders, and you also kind of help your younger ones. Like, my parents never told me that I have to prepare for my brother and stuff like that. But I have a feeling in a couple years, like he's currently 13, so in like 5, 6 more years, he'll be looking at uni. So I feel like because I had the opportunity to study in Australia, he should be offered the same thing. Like I would naturally be like, okay, yeah, if he wants to come here, I need to start preparing. Like I need to start preparing my home, preparing a room for him, like to support him through it. And that's just filial piety.
I think um it's in our bones. It's ingrained in our bones that like as much as possible we like think about our family first.
Yes.
We will never want to abandon them. Of course there are cases where Asians abandon their family. There's a lot of like crime cases which hopefully we can talk about in another podcast. But yeah. Overall, the majority of us, I'm sure we still feel like a sense of responsibility to take care of our family because in the way they did raise us, we wouldn't be alive if they had just abandoned us.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I guess don't give above your means, but where you can give, you should give. Is that kind of upbringing that we were brought up with, right?
Yeah. I love that like last episode we were talking about how like we should not give advice, no one should be taking advice from us, and here we are.
I feel like my parents raised me up pretty well. Like,
I'm not perfect, but I think I'm not that bad.
yeah, just don't come to me for advice if you want a sane friend advice. Like I'm the crazy friend
Oh
advisor.
yes. Yes, she is.
Lovely. Well, we look forward to making more content. I think we delve a little bit into like a little bit of like pop culture true crime stories today, so we might branch out to some of those content in the next few months.
Months, maybe months.
Yeah, months. All right, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.